Good morning. I'm Andrea Wenger, and I work in the office off to the side of the front office. My role is Director of Advancement, and part of my job this year is coordinating chapels. And so today I wanted to talk to you about our chapel theme, and the theme is This Is My Story. And I apologize that chapel is late. I guess this fits with our learning this year how to do things in a new way, and that this week and next week are kind of practice and getting in the groove. I thought I was going to do something fancy with iMovie or Windows Movie Maker, and it just wasn't working for me. So I apologize. I wanted to tell a couple quick stories as part of our theme and part of explaining what we hope to do with our theme. I'm going to get a poster off my wall here and point out our vision statement. You've seen this posted around the school. Our vision is to be a learning community where every student belongs, thrives, and lives God's call. That belonging part is something we really want to focus on with storytelling. We don't always get it right. Not everybody always feels like they belong. I've had times when I haven't felt like I belonged, and I'm sure you have too. And so actually the first story I want to tell talks about that a little bit and some history. So I have a long history with this school. This is a picture of my mom, 1957 yearbook. She's the twin on the right. She came to school here from New York. Then I came to school here in 1982. This is my senior picture from 1982. Then my kids came here. Also, I met my husband here. But this is my son, class of 2013, and my daughter, class of 2016. So you would have thought with that long history that I'd really feel like I belonged. But the very simple story I thought about is kind of funny since I work in this front office now, is I just remember as a parent coming in here and being kind of mystified by the front office. I found it a little bit intimidating. I sometimes wondered if my questions were annoying. Also, as a parent of a volleyball player, I found walking in that gym so intimidating and trying to figure out where to sit, and it kind of seemed like all the other parents knew what was going on, where to sit and how to handle themselves, and I just found that awkward. So that's just a funny story of somebody who you would think totally fit and knew where to belong, and actually I didn't. Another simple story actually comes from this summer. I had the opportunity to participate in the Black Lives Matter rallies that were organized in downtown Harrisonburg, and then there was one in Broadway, Virginia. And I live in Broadway. I wanted to go to that one, and I felt like I belonged there because I'm a resident. And in Harrisonburg, I attended because I'm also part of this community and wanted to support. I didn't grow up in a house where we did things that were politically active. My parents were engaged in current events, probably because of their more Mennonite background. They just didn't model that for us. We didn't go to protests. We didn't talk a lot about political activism. And so going to something like this is pretty new for me. The Harrisonburg one felt really comfortable. There was mostly silence and walking. The Broadway one was a little bit different. There were protesters, people who were shouting things like George Floyd is a criminal and tearing the Black Lives Matter flag. There were folks with guns. So something just about storytelling that I hope we can do this year is to develop two things. One, empathy, and the other, curiosity. At the Black Lives Matter gathering in Broadway, my curiosity was really piqued, and I began to wonder, what brings people to something like this? And they came in very different roles. Some were there to participate, some were there to kind of just observe and maybe ask questions, and then some were there to protest or to bring guns to protect people. And so out of my curiosity, I just engaged some of the folks with questions. And in particular, on my way out, I had a chance to talk to one of the guys who was carrying an automatic rifle and just ask a bit more about what brought him there. And I learned that he was there to protect me. and that it just made me wonder, what is somebody's story that brings them to a different understanding than mine? So I hope that by listening to stories, we can develop curiosity. In terms of empathy, empathy is a feeling of sympathy and curiosity about how somebody's feeling and identifying with them, sharing their pain. And so I hope that if we hear stories this year about people who didn't belong, that we can develop empathy that we'll use in the future when we see similar situations where maybe somebody is not belonging. And it can maybe inspire us to figure out ways to help people feel like they do belong. Part of the reason we chose this theme is because our culture is in a divisive time, also because our culture is examining race in a way that it hasn't in the past, and we really need to do that. We need to do that work as a school. Our school was founded over 100 years ago by white Mennonites for white Mennonites. And early in our history, we discriminated based on color. We have not done that in the more recent future, but we have had people of color who haven't felt like they belonged. And so we hope maybe we can hear some of their stories, and we can learn from even recent alumni about our current students, about ways that we can be welcoming and inclusive, because we all have a lot to learn, and it's an ongoing process. One of the things that I want to be sure to let you know is that I'd welcome student involvement. We have a committee called Chapel Planning Committee. I'm not sure what that's going to look like this year, how we're going to meet, but I do want to know if you'd like to be part of that. You can send me an email. You can catch me in the hallway. You can stop in the front office and let me know, and I'll try and get us together, maybe a big circle outside and then working by Google Doc. But I would like your input. I would also like ideas. If you know somebody, your pastor, aunt or uncle or friend, family friend, that you think would be a good person to come and share a story, please let me know, and we'll see if we can make that possible. I'm going to close today with a scripture from 1 Corinthians 12, verses 25 to 27. The way God designed our bodies is a model for understanding our lives together as a church, or an organization, or a school. Each part depends on every other part. The parts we mention and the parts we don't. The parts we see and the parts we don't. If one hurts, every other part is involved in the hurt and the healing. Each one of you is a part of this school, and if one of you is hurting, the whole body is hurting, the whole school is hurting. And if one of you is hurting, we all can have part in the healing process. It's a strange year. Some of you have friends that you're not able to get to know, to get to be with, and we have new folks that it's harder to get to know. So I just encourage you to continually think about belonging and to keep your ears open and ready to hear stories that we're going to hear in chapel this coming year about this is my story and what it means to belong. Thank you.